Caitlin Clark's season in jeopardy? The WNBA contract mess explained. Caitlin Clark made $78,000 playing basketball in 2025. Her Nike deal, $28 million. And now, as the WNBA faces a potential lockout, she might not play at all in 2026. The most famous face in basketball just vanished, and the real reason why is about to blow your mind. Here's where it gets crazy. In January 2026, the CBA deadline passed with no deal in sight. The Players' Union is demanding a 30% share of gross revenue. The league says that could cause $700 million in losses and potential bankruptcy. We are now in a status quo period where free agency is frozen and the 2026 season is in total limbo. Sophie Cunningham is already calling the situation dumb and warning that we are heading straight for a lockout. If the owners don't cave, the stars might simply refuse to play. The players have already authorized a strike, keeping it in their back pocket as the ultimate power move. But wait, this nuclear standoff isn't even the wildest part of the story. While the league burns, Caitlin Clark is operating on a completely different level. She earned an estimated $16.1 million in 2025, but 99.3% of that came from sponsors, not her team. Think about that. When you're the one selling out arenas and shattering TV records, but taking home crumbs, how long do you stay loyal to the system? The frustration has reached a breaking point, and insiders say it's real. Want to know what makes this even more insane? Clark doesn't actually need the WNBA. As of early 2026, she has officially moved from athlete to global conglomerate. Nike launched a massive From Anywhere campaign on Christmas Day to kick off the year. Insiders are projecting that her signature shoe line alone could become a $150 million business. When your shoe line earns more than the entire league's annual revenue, the power dynamic shifts completely. She spent her injury time hanging out in Taylor Swift's suite at NFL games and making high-profile appearances on the New Heights podcast. She is building a brand that exists independently of a basketball court in Indiana. Here's where the plot thickens. For years, Caitlin Clark was the Iron Woman, a machine who never missed a single game at Iowa, while single-handedly carrying the Indiana Fever on her back. But in July 2025, the world watched in silence as Clark limped off the court with a groin injury that wouldn't heal. Then came the bone bruises. She only logged 13 games in 2025, and for the first time, the Logo 3 Queen looked human and fragile. Rumors are swirling that the Fever's medical staff pushed her too hard too fast. With the 2026 tip-off approaching, the whispers about her long-term health are getting louder. People are asking, can her body actually handle the weight of an entire league? But the injury was just the beginning. What happened next will shock you. Even as Clark was fighting to get back on the court, the league was preparing for a war that could leave her on the sidelines permanently. The 2025 season wasn't just lost to physical pain. It was swallowed by this financial contract mess that has turned the WNBA into a battlefield. While she spent hours in the gym trying to recover, her agents were watching a nuclear standoff between the players and the owners. When you're the only person filling arenas, but you're making less than a manager at a local bank, the motivation to risk your health starts to vanish. And then there's the threat nobody saw coming. While the WNBA fumbles the bag, a high-stakes rival is whispering in everyone's ear. Unrivaled, the new 3-on-3 league isn't just a side hustle. It's a direct threat to the WNBA's throne. Tipping off its second season in early 2026, this league is offering something the WNBA refuses to: equity and real money. We're talking average salaries that make the WNBA's rookie scale look like pocket change. Unrivaled has been handing out six-figure checks and ownership stakes to anyone with enough star power to move the needle. Here's the nuclear part. As of January 2026, Caitlin Clark is still the one name missing from the roster. Even though superstars like Paige Buchers and Kelsey Mitchell have jumped ship to join the 3-on-3 revolution, Clark has remained non-committal. Without Clark, Unrivaled's opening day numbers for 2026 reportedly tanked, averaging just 175,000 viewers, a massive drop from the previous year. This puts Clark in an incredible position of power. She is essentially the kingmaker of women's basketball. Wherever she goes, the money and the audience follow. While Clark stayed silent, Unrivaled's opening game without her was a disaster. faster. They need her. The WNBA needs her, and she knows it. If the WNBA doesn't fix its pay structure, the threat of Clark eventually taking a massive unrivaled equity deal becomes the league's worst nightmare. But wait, there's more. The drama isn't just about the money in her bank account. It's about the tension in the room. Success breeds envy, and in the WNBA, that envy has become a toxic PR nightmare. As we head into the 2026 season, reports of locker room friction are reaching a fever pitch. It's no secret that some veterans feel erased by the nonstop Caitlin Clark media machine. While Clark is humble in interviews, the green-eyed monster is alive and well across the league. Lexi Hull recently admitted that other teams are literally obsessed with not letting the Fever win, fueled by a level of jealousy over the private jets, the sold-out arenas, and the fact that one player is getting 90% of the spotlight. The tension has even led to wild rumors about a rift between Clark and her own teammates. While stars like Kelsey Mitchell have stepped up to shut down those rift rumors, the narrative persists because the disparity is just too big to ignore. How do you keep a team together when one player is a global icon with a signature Nike shoe and everyone else is just there? The WNBA needs Clark to survive, but the players are starting to resent the fact that they need her at all. And as the CBA negotiations hit a wall, this internal resentment might be the final straw that breaks the league's back. Update. As of today, sources close to Clark's camp reveal that she has been completely silent on her 2026 plans. No statements, no social media hints, nothing. The silence from her camp is deafening. We are now 45 days from when training camps would normally begin, and nobody knows if there will even be a season. The Caitlin Clark effect was supposed to save the WNBA, but instead, it exposed a system that was never built to handle someone of her magnitude. Here's the reality. We are officially on the clock, and the stakes have never been higher. Caitlin Clark is standing in the middle of a perfect storm. On one side, you have a body that was pushed to the limit, resulting in a 2025 season that was largely lost to groin injuries and setbacks. On the other, you have a league on the verge of a nuclear lockout with veterans and owners locked in a financial war that could cancel the season entirely. And let's not forget the unrivaled threat and the internal locker room jealousies that continue to simmer behind the scenes. Is the Caitlin Clark era in jeopardy? Absolutely. The Logo 3 Queen has reached the top of the mountain, but the mountain itself is crumbling. If the WNBA's 2026 season gets delayed by a lockout, or if the contract mess turns even more toxic, Clark has a massive financial safety net to fall back on. The reality is that the WNBA needs Caitlin Clark to stay relevant, but if the league can't get its act together, she has every reason to focus on her global empire instead. The next 30 days will decide if she returns to the court as the dominant force we saw at Iowa, or if she becomes the biggest what if in the history of sports. The league is betting its entire future on her 2026 comeback, but with so many moving parts from health crises to contract wars, nothing is guaranteed. One thing is certain, the WNBA we knew is gone. Whether what replaces it is a golden age of prosperity or a total collapse depends entirely on how this contract mess is resolved. And here's what nobody's reporting. Clark has every leverage point imaginable. The shoe deal that dwarfs the league, the unrivaled offer waiting in the wings, the health excuse to sit out, the CBA chaos giving her cover. She could walk away tomorrow and still be the richest woman in basketball. The next 30 days will decide if we ever see Caitlin Clark in a WNBA uniform again. I'll be tracking every development, so subscribe so you don't miss the moment everything changes. Because when Clark makes her move, it's going to reshape women's basketball forever.